What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This here is Legitical Response. I cover political news, and my microphone's a little bit too high. Sorry about that, y'all. So once again, we're back into debates. Now, I have not covered these debates for a little while because, whatever reason, there weren't any debates to cover, for crying out loud. It was kind of aggravating me. I love to do this on Saturdays. I've been doing it for a while. I love these debates because they get me riled up. They get me on point. They get me going. They fuel my life, for crying out loud. Yes, that is what they do. And Piers Morgan is back. So we are back. Yes. Why do I only cover Piers Morgan debates? I have no idea, but they are great. They're really good debates, to be honest with you. I go searching for some other debates, and they're just lackluster, right? I don't get it, but they're really good debates, so I go in after them. So we've got a standard panel coming up, and these people are Trump deranged. Cenk Uygur is Trump deranged, and we've got Cenk Uygur coming up in this one. But right off the top, We've got somebody, I don't even know the guy's name. I could honestly care who the guy's name is, to be frank. But he is a mouthpiece for the establishment. And he says some of the most ridiculous things in the freaking world. And we're going to break all of that crap down. You know what? Let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump right into it. So here we go with some ridiculousness, y'all. Check this out.
But to answer Vinny's issue, okay, I don't like seeing what's happening in Aurora, Colorado, but I saw Donald Trump in the Situation Room, and I understand the mechanisms of his personality and the impetuosity and the lack of curiosity and no executive management skills. And to what Cenk is saying, I would take a more garden variety politician who will follow the rules-based society. I don't want somebody that's currying favor with dictators. I don't want somebody that's going to roll back NATO. I don't want somebody that's going to let Vladimir Putin walk into the Ukraine. So that's me. That's what makes America great.
Let me challenge you.
Okay, so right off the jump, you can tell this guy is just an establishment shill. That's what he was placed here for some reason, right? He starts talking about he doesn't want somebody that's going to roll back NATO. Why not? What purpose does NATO serve, to be honest with you? Why do they need the funding that they need, right? We have all these nations. We can have a peace treaty with these people and not have an organization that sucks up billions of dollars a year, takes up all kinds of resources. We can do that without NATO, as a matter of fact, and still have the same treaties, still have everything, and just eliminate NATO. Just get rid of it, right? All it does is suck up taxpayer dollars, and it sucks up a lot of our taxpayer dollars, right? That was one thing that I championed Trump for, is for rolling NATO back, getting them to pay their fair share. That's something Democrats constantly talking about, right? Oh, we need the rich to pay their fair share. Yeah, well, shut your freaking mouth. How about you get NATO to pay for their fair share, as a matter of fact, right? But no, they don't want to do that. They want to call Trump an imbecile because, NATO was created after World War II, right? To combat Russia, the Soviet Union, because communism, right? We don't want communism spreading all over the damn place. And it worked. We won. NATO does not have a reason for existence. As a matter of fact, right now, I would posit that NATO is the entire reason Russia invaded Ukraine. Not the entire. Okay, let me roll that back. Not the entire reason, but a key factor as the reason why Russia invaded Ukraine, right? They started talking about, well, Ukraine's going to be a member of NATO, blah, 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 blah. And then this guy goes on to say he doesn't want a leader that's going to allow Putin to roll into Ukraine. Well, hang on. Who are you talking about here? Are you talking about Trump? Or are you talking about the Biden-Harris administration that actually allowed Putin to roll into Ukraine and just invade, right? And then start sending billions and hundreds of billions of dollars and taxpayer dollars to Ukraine, to a corrupt nation. He starts talking about, Trump rolled back weapons shipments to Ukraine. You're damn right he did. You're damn right he did. Why are we sending weapons to Ukraine? For no reason, right? They weren't at war with Russia at the time when Trump was in office, right? Trump didn't allow for these things to go on because Putin knew that Trump he didn't know what Trump would do, to be honest with you. Trump might do something crazy. and that is what kept Putin on his back foot. But let's keep going and see some more of this establishment shillery going on here.
Given that my country is part of NATO, to what Trump actually said. He wanted other member countries of NATO to pay their due. He was sick and tired of America having to pay the vast majority of the costs of NATO and other countries not paying the due. By the way, hang on. Okay. By the way, on that, he was 100% right. And many of those countries he castigated are now paying significantly more towards the cost of NATO as a result of what Trump did. So on those 2 points, I'm not so sure that you're on good ground.
Well, I think you got to give me a chance to respond, because this is what Trump does. He says two contrary things at the same time. His detractors hold on to one thing. His people that love him hold on to another thing, his advocates. And so he made it very clear to John Bolton. He made it very clear to General Kelly, Jim Mattis, Rex Tillerson, that he wanted out of NATO. He made it very clear. He slowed down the arms shipments to the Ukraine. In 1994, we cut a deal with them. They were the sixth largest nuclear arsenal in the world. We got the nukes back in exchange for security guarantees. He slowed down the arms shipments. There's irrefutable fact to that, a result of which gave Vladimir Putin an opening in the Ukraine. Moreover, he moved the embassy. The State Department asked him not to move the embassy in Jerusalem. He moved the embassy in Jerusalem. And you can't tell me that didn't lead to more funding for Hamas, because we know from our intelligence agencies that it did. So we can pretend that he didn't start any wars, but he doesn't understand the nature of the world. The State Department told him, don't go to North Korea. The guy's never given up his nukes. He said, no, I'm Donald Trump, the supreme narcissist. I'm going to North Korea. He's going to give up his nukes. Did he give up his nukes, Piers? This is insanity that we're talking about a guy that is this intellectually bereft running the country. So you gotta.
But let me ask you, okay. But before I go to Emily to respond to that, hang on. But before I go to Emily,
Anthony, he's been very honest about it.
Who
to
do you
his staff.
think? Okay, but here's a tough question for you before I go to Emily to respond. If you're Vladimir Putin or you're Kim Jong-un or you're President Xi, who are you going to be more or less intimidated by, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Trump. There's no question Kamala Harris. It's not even close, because he wants to be them. He praises them. He solicits them. He tells Putin from a microphone like this, go ahead and invade the countries that are not spending 2% on NATO. You heard him say that. It's not me saying it.
But I knew what he meant by that.
No question.
I knew what he meant. What he meant was, if the member countries of NATO don't pay their dues, it is more likely that people like Putin will take advantage. That's what he meant. You know that. I know that.
It's a 2016 analysis, Piers. Your analysis is a 2016 analysis.
Intellectual dishonesty is the name of the game. Oh, and some red herrings, by the way, like talking about Kim Jong-un. When did he ever say that he was going to go and tell Kim Jong-un to give up his nukes? Right? That's a ridiculous notion. Trump never said that. I'm sorry. No, he went over there to make a peace agreement, which he did, which no other president has ever done in the United States history. So what do you have to say about that? Right? They like to brush this idea off because Trump didn't start any new wars. Oh, well, that was just an accident, right? Oh, well, he doesn't understand the world. What are you talking about, dude? He had so many damn peace agreements, right? This is one of the main reasons why I like Donald Trump, why I thought his presidency was on point. His foreign policy was better than any president in my entire lifetime. Yes, I will say that with the utmost confidence. Better than any president in my lifetime, right? That at least that I know of, right? I don't know of any accomplishments that Bill Clinton freaking made that were any better than Trump did, right? Bill Clinton was in office for 8 freaking years. Donald Trump was only in office for 4. What did Obama do? Increase drone strikes and start several wars. Like, what's going on? Didn't finish none of these wars, by the way. Donald Trump gave us a timeline for getting out of Afghanistan, right? Tried to pull our troops out of Syria. Like, why are we even in Syria? We're not at war with Syria. What's going on with that? These people are just outright insane. They're making up excuses, throwing red herrings out there. Of course he's going to pull back weapon shipments to Ukraine. You know what? Because us sending weapons to Ukraine is only spurring on Putin wanting to invade Ukraine because NATO encroachment into his territory. Like, these people just don't seem to get it. It's either that or they're being intellectually dishonest, which that's exactly what I think it is, to be honest with you. They just want to shield for the establishment, right? And it's just insane at the cost of the United States. They want to shield for the establishment. Oh, the establishment's great. And saying that Kamala Harris would be more intimidating than Donald Trump? Are you freaking serious? Right? Like, okay, so we have this culture in this country where, you know, feminism has radically changed everybody's opinion on everything. Right? So we view women as just as capable as men. Right? Now, hang on for a second. Does the rest of the world think that? This is what you got to look at when you're looking at foreign policy. Definitely any Middle Eastern country does not believe that. Just look at some of their laws. That's all you got to do with that, right? Now, does Putin? Nah, I don't think so. I think Putin is a lot more conservative, a lot more like the Middle Eastern, right? They're gonna look at a woman, right? And this is not me saying this, because I believe a woman can be just as capable as far as policy and all this other garbage, running a government, can be just as capable as a dude, right? Some, in some cases, could be even better. But when you're dealing with foreign policy, you're dealing with world leaders such as Vladimir Putin, President Xi Jinping, oh, polar bear over there, oh, Winnie the Pooh. But when you're looking at these people, right, do you really think that they're going to think Kamala Harris is more intimidating than Donald Trump? Who knows, if you piss this guy off, you're not sure what's going to happen. You're not sure if he's just going to send the entire force of the United States Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines down upon your head. You're not sure about that at all. What do you think they're going to think? It's not about what I think, right? Do I have any doubts that Kamala Harris, if she wins the presidency, is going to start some sort of war? I have no doubts whatsoever. Right? But that's not what we want. That's what these people don't seem to get. We don't want these wars. We want somebody, a negotiator, who's going to go in and negotiate for peace, not for war. And the Biden-Harris administration has most definitely started new wars. No, we might not be directly involved with these wars, but, you know, upping the shipments of weapons to Ukraine, all this garbage, talking about having Ukraine join NATO. Yeah, that's a red line. Putin has said that for years. That is a red line. If you cross that, then we're going to have some problems. And the Biden-Harris administration proved it. Outright proved it. Started talking about NATO membership for Ukraine, and here comes Putin rolling in, going to take over. It's insanity. The utter hypocrisy coming from these people is just great. But you know what? You know, enough of my ranting. Let's keep going, because this is a pretty good debate. Let's check out and see what other insanity they've got to say.
We're going to bring in a guest briefly and then come back to the panel in a moment. But first of all, Cenk, let me ask you. It's an interesting point about Kamala Harris. I know what Trump stands for. You know, his messaging, he's a very skilled marketer. We know he's about build the wall, make America great, all these other things. He rattles off his greatest hits at every rally. I'm really not sure what Kamala Harris stands for. And after that interview with CNN, and it's no fault of Dana Bash, who I used to work with, I've got great respect for her as a journalist. It's not her fault, but Kamala Harris didn't lay out any plan for the country. And if I was a Democrat, I'd be really worried about what's going to happen at the debate if it gets into the meat and drink of policy.
I literally don't understand you guys. So Kamala Harris is the most normal politician of my lifetime. Like, and you guys keep saying, like, look at her, she's so weak, she's so this, she's so...
What does she stand for,
any
Cenk?
of that.
What does she stand for?
What does she stand for?
Yeah, Cenk.
And
They
you guys
can't
talking
answer
about,
the question.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Can
Give me
I
three
answer?
things she
Okay.
stands for.
So, yes.
She's saying, we got
she's
it, she's
announced
saying.
them. Okay, so number one, she talked about housing, which is a huge issue in this country. If you block the private equity guys from buying our homes, that would be a massive gain for the American people. What's Donald Trump's housing policy? He says, oh, drill, baby, drill. That has nothing to do with housing. He's such a moron. Okay, then you talk about the prices were out of control. She says, hey, we should have a check on that. That is your grocery store, your gas, etc. Things that matter in your life. She at least has a policy. What's Trump's policy? I'm going to give corporations another tax cut. Well, listen, you were in office for 4 years, to Vinny's point. And what did you do? You didn't even build a wall. You built like 30 feet of wall. He remembered it at the last second. The main thing he did was he took corporate tax rates from 35% to 21%. He gave trillions of dollars to his corporate donors. The problem with the establishment is that they work for those donors. Well, how about Trump? He says, Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson, I'll just give you U.S. foreign policy on Israel, and you said it, and he brags about it. He says, oil companies, I'll let you set oil policy. He is so both systemically, and personally corrupt. He's the worst of all worlds, and Kamala Harris has these policy positions you guys never talk about while you pretend that Trump has policy. Trump's only policy is another corporate tax cut, down to 15%, so they can keep robbing us.
Okay, she wants to stop the private equity guys from buying up all the houses and just renting them out to people, right? We want people to buy houses, right? Hang on, though. Isn't Kamala Harris proposing to give criminal aliens loans to buy houses with? They're not even supposed to freaking be here. How is that going to help the housing market? I don't get this one whatsoever. The government subsidizing loans now. That's what we're doing, to give to criminal aliens to buy housing. And then he goes on to make one of the most dumbest statements I think I've ever heard. What's Trump's plan? Oh, drill, baby, drill. What a moron. Come on, dude. Really? The oil industry is the base of our economy. You start drilling, you bring the price of oil down. If we're a net exporter of oil, then we're going to make a lot of money, right? Trump's policies, his domestic policies as far as taxes and all this other garbage, how he runs the country, as far as the economy, his economic policies, prove outright that he knows what he's doing here. Our economy in 2019 was the best economy we've ever seen. Was the best economy we've ever seen, right after some of his tax breaks that you guys love to lambast constantly. Y'all love to lament, oh, well, he's cutting taxes for the rich. Well, what did that do to our economy, by the way? What did that do to our freaking economy? It made us one of the best economies we've ever seen, for crying out loud. What are you talking about? It's not going to help the housing market if we drill more oil, if we bring energy costs way down. Of course it'll help the housing market, but he's only thinking 1D chess here, right? Like on simple surface level terms, and that's what Democrats are all about. Surface level garbage, right? So drill, baby, drill, bringing the cost of energy down is going to absolutely help the housing market, but guess what else it's going to do, Chink? It's going to help every other single market in the freaking world. It's going to help boost the economy, because we all know, it's common knowledge, when energy costs are low, everything else profits, everything else flourishes. You can expand and grow at a dramatic rate. Then he wants to brag about Kamala Harris's communism, right? Putting price controls on everything. That's one of the most insane policy positions I think I've ever heard, right? Every economist, doesn't matter which one, has come out and said this is a terrible idea. When you put price controls on everything, you're going to create shortages, right? People are going to start starving after a little while. People, it's going to destroy the economy. Basically, that's what they're saying. I'm not an economist. I'm just going based off of what they say. It sounds dumb to me, because how the hell can the government control the economy, right? You're talking about central planning now. You're talking about communism, right? So that's going to create a crisis. So then guess what, folks? To fix the crisis, the government is going to have to come in and do something else to fix the situation, right? more central planning, more communism, more garbage from the government. And what does Trump do? And they think this is dumb, right? Let the oil industry regulate themselves. Yep, that's not a bad idea, right? Sure, we need certain safety standards and, climate standards for these people, but they want to regulate themselves. Go right ahead. Guess what? His policies proved once again that by doing so, you allow the capitalist system that we have to flourish. It exploded. People were making money hand over fist. Everybody knows this. This can't be denied. But you know what they do? They love to cheat the system. They love to say, oh, well, Trump was the worst on jobs, right? He lost 20 million freaking jobs. Oh, my God. Blah, blah, blah. That's what cenk does, by the way. Yeah, they use COVID numbers. Yeah, that wasn't Trump. That was the governors that done that, as a matter of fact. We all know that. But they love, once again, intellectual dishonesty. They love to lie about it. These people are just insane. But let's keep going. I think I've thoroughly debunked that. Let's keep going.
But be honest with me, cenk. If do you really believe that when it comes to standing up to world leaders like Kim Jong-un, like Putin, like Xi and others, do you really believe that Kamala Harris is somebody that will exude an air on behalf of the United States that will be more intimidating to those guys than Trump would?
It's not even close, absolutely, and I'll tell you why. You guys are looking at it, it's like all of this foreign policy's emotional vibes in the room. And Kamala Harris walks in and are they like, oh my God, I'm intimidated, or oh, it's no big deal. And Trump walks in, they're like, oh my God, I fear him. No, it's about what you're willing to do, your actions, your policies, etc. So what does Kamala Harris have? Kamala Harris has the might of the administrative state and the U.S. military behind her, and they know she's stable and she represents the general American establishment. Now, a lot of people might say, hey, I don't love the establishment, etc., but it is a fearsome entity. And everybody knows that a normal president of the United States speaks on behalf of that entity, and they fear that entity. When Donald Trump walks in the room, they're like, oh, thank God, what a clown. Okay, so easy to manipulate him. Sure. Here, let's tell him we like him. Hey, Donnie, we like you. And you think, oh, I like you. I'm going to write love letters to you. So while he said he was writing love letters to Kim Jong-un built 6 nukes. What happened, tough guy? You let him build all those nukes, you did nothing about it because you're an idiot, so easily manipulated. You think Putin doesn't know that? They do a meeting, Trump comes out, he's like, Putin is right, not our intelligence, the U.S. sucks, Putin is right. That weak guy just cares about money. You know what he says about the Saudis? They give me $30-40 million for an apartment. Shouldn't I like them? Obviously corrupt, easily manipulated, a tiny mind. He's done nothing but encourage our enemies by being so weak and such an obvious narcissist. Do you know how easily I could play that guy if I'm in a room with him? You just go tweak here, tweak there, and he's discombobulated, right? And if you're not going to do it by flattery, which is the easiest thing in the world, you just get under his skin a little bit. Hey, your hair doesn't look good. Oh, what? I'm going to attack you. Come on, this guy's a fool. Look, all of you know it. All of you know it. That's why you're spending all your time about, oh, look at Kamala Harris. She's a slightly normal politician. Ooh, that's so scary. Come on. Piers, you're going to ignore the fact that the other guy is totally unhinged and the easiest man in the world to manipulate.
No,
like
I think, listen, we've talked about Trump a lot. I've known, as Anthony and others, I've known Trump nearly 20 years, right? I've spoken to him many times, interviewed him 40 times. I know Trump very, very well. Good, bad, and ugly. And I think he has equal measures of all 3 of those things. But I think that your characterization of him is almost, it's cartoonesque. And in a way that plays into Trump. He is a
cartoon character.
Well, maybe. But it plays into Trump's hands when you over-demonize him. You know, when I hear the left in America just ranting away about Trump morning, noon, and night, I think you're playing him the wrong way.
Piers, he is that bad. He is that bad. You're
Piers,
actively
I want to
covering.
meet cenk in the
Piers,
middle.
you know what is? Hold on. One more thing. You guys, you know what you sound like? You sound like Democrats that were saying that Joe Biden is young and dynamic behind the scenes. Guys, we have eyes and ears. We can see Donald Trump. He's an unhinged man. The only reason you don't think so is because you're so biased that you're like, oh, it's normal to terminate the Constitution or try to murder your vice
before I want to come to
president.
Vinny,
That's not normal.
Okay, so get this. So now Cenk is trying to argue the point that the establishment is Kamala Harris, which, hey, we can all agree with that. And coming from Cenk, that's quite rich because he ardently hates the establishment. But, you know, it's freaking hilarious that now that Trump is going to get elected, he thinks that he's not going to have the military might behind him. He's not going to have the establishment behind him when he goes to negotiate with people all across the world, doing foreign policy, conducting his foreign policy like presidents are supposed to do. This is one of the most ridiculous things I think I've ever heard. Oh, because Donald Trump is not an establishment politician, he's not going to have the backing of the United States military. Right? That's a Cenk Uygur argument right there. That's one of the most ridiculous things I think I've ever heard. He's not going to have the establishment behind him. Okay, hang on. So now you're making the argument for Trump as to why he didn't have as many accomplishments, as to why he didn't build that freaking wall. Because the establishment wasn't behind him, but he most certainly had the U.S. military behind him. And if we have to go to war, yeah, people aren't going to think like that, right? Like, that's esoteric, that's internal politics that foreign leaders aren't going to think about, Cenk. That's a ridiculous notion to put out there. I can't believe he done it. It's easily debunked by an idiot like me. Like, come on, dude. Really? So you don't become a billionaire by being weak and easily manipulated. I'm sorry. You can say whatever the hell you want to about Donald Trump. Sure, he had a lot of bankruptcies, but guess what? He's still a billionaire. He still has started several different companies, runs several different companies, and he's a real estate mogul. He's a TV celebrity, for crying out loud. He's got his own freaking commercial jet, for crying out loud. Like, what are you trying to say here? What exactly are you trying to say here? The man crossed the DMZ into North Korea without a security detail. He's talking about, oh, he built 6 nukes under the Trump presidency. Kim Jong-un built 6 nukes. Are you really think that Trump is going to stop the guy from building nukes? No, but he stopped Kim Jong-un from using them through diplomacy, through crossing the DMZ and talking to these people and saying, hey, let's make peace. By going into the Middle East and saying, hey, let's normalize relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and all these other Middle Eastern countries. Creating peace, as a matter of fact. Hey, let's get our troops out of Afghanistan. Right? 18 months of his presidency. He had a meeting with the leader of the Taliban, for crying out loud, and they love to tell this story, but he had a meeting with the leader of the Taliban, showed him a picture of his house. And guess what? For the next 18 months until Donald Trump left the presidency, no U.S. soldiers got killed in Afghanistan. Amazing! That's weak and a very easy manipulated negotiator. If that's what that is, then I'll take that all day long. I will take that all freaking day long. And then, you guess what? You know, if we would have reelected Donald Trump, the Afghanistan withdrawal would have went a whole hell of a lot smoother because they had all their plans. They had everything set up to get out. And then guess what? Joe Biden comes in and says he doesn't want to do anything that Trump had his hands in unless it benefits Joe Biden. Right, like the tariffs and all that other stuff that he kept in place. But everything else, we're just going to undo it. And they just threw together some sort of a plan, and look what freaking happened. This is what we get with the establishment that Cenk Uygur seems to be sucking up to right here, and I don't know why, because once again, he's generally ardently against the establishment. I'm not sure why he's shilling for them now. Makes absolutely no sense to me. These people are outright insane. They're not looking at the situation. Kamala Harris is a weak leader. Just look how she talks, for crying out loud. She talks in freaking circles, circuitous conversation, if you will. like the bus on the wheels go round and round type of garbage going on, right? Like to see what can be unburdened by what has been. Like, come on with this word salad garbage that Kamala Harris puts out, and her communism and all this other stuff. I'm not buying it. Most Americans are not buying it. The only reason Trump isn't way up in the freaking polls is because people hate the guy, because the corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine have lied and lied and lied and lied about this guy to the detriment of the United States. Right? A lot of people blame Donald Trump for the division that's in this country right now. Well, you know what? You look at his policies, take the man himself away and look at his policies. He's a moderate. He's the only moderate running in the presidency right now. The only moderate. We don't have a hard right Republican candidate running. No, we don't. But that's what the corporate press will try to make you believe. Oh, he's the next Hitler. He's worse than Hitler. He's going to end the world, y'all. No, I don't think so. You know, Kamala Harris isn't going to do that either. And I have no problem saying that whatsoever. But she is going to absolutely continue the decline that we've been seeing for the past 4 years. That's starkly obvious to everybody. Or at least it should be, unless you're lying to yourself. The only thing they can come up with is some garbage, made up BS by the corporate press. They just exploded January 6th, blew it way out of proportion, turned a molehill into a mountain, for crying out loud. These people are just insane, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope y'all enjoyed the debate. I would love to get on with cenk Uygur and some of this garbage, because I would love to destroy this guy. I really would. So if anybody out there knows Piers Morgan, for crying out loud, you know, let him know that I exist. I would love to be able to debate some of these people, even though I've never debated anybody before. But it's like I come up with all these points. Like I do this right off the top of my head. You know, I watch the video and think, as I'm thinking, that's pretty much what I'm saying right now. So I think I would do okay. I really don't know. Never debated anybody, like not on camera at least. Of course, I have discussions with people in person, but you know, that's a totally different thing. It's totally different thing. But you know, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I want to thank everybody for watching. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. Yeah, I got that backwards just now. I usually say it the other way around, but y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching again. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.